Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Once again, we've got another post-race analysis video for you guys tonight from the Alsco Uniforms 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway around that mile-and-a-half racetrack once again for the second time in 4 days. Rain postponed the race from Wednesday to Thursday, so they were able to at least get the race in tonight, even with the threat of rain once again. So it all started back on lap 1, going into turn 3. I guess they were 4 wide back towards the rear of the field, and a tough break for those smaller teams getting wrecked, especially during these times, just getting back to the racetrack. They don't need to spend the extra money on wrecked race cars. But Garrett Smithley, Joey Gase got together in an accident on the opening lap of the race, so they failed to finish very early on. Tough break there. Garrett Smithley's car caught fire. He had to get out quickly, of course, and he was unharmed, of course, as well. It's just a tough break there, and it sucks that it has to happen to smaller teams, especially on the first lap of the race, just like that, on a green racetrack at that, too. 4 wide at the back of the pack. Boyer made a move. He's trying to go from the back towards the front as quickly as he could. He didn't really he made a bold move, but I mean, it was a racing deal. I mean, no other way, shape, or form about it. So then they ended up getting to the competition caution, and by that time, it was a battle between, it seemed like, Bowman, Byron at the very beginning of the race. Matt DiBenedetto looked pretty strong, and Joey Logano, with Logano leading the way. Just after they get out of the competition yellow, they run about 6-7 laps or so. Logano's still leading the race, and another caution comes out. It looked like Brad Keselowski had hit the wall. He was slowing up, and then all of a sudden, when he was slowing up after he had a tire go down, Matt Kenseth blew a tire, and he spun around in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Luckily, everybody was able to miss him as well. So at least Kenseth, for that matter, didn't really have a wrecked car. Keselowski kind of did, and that might have affected his performance throughout the course of the race. But he had a slow, quiet day, which we'll talk about here at the end of this, because he ended up having a pretty decent finish, despite the damage that he had to the right side of his car. It's pretty significant. I didn't think it was that bad until they showed the close-up when they came back from the rain delay. And yes, I said rain delay because they had yet another rain delay that was just over an hour in length again tonight. Man, tough time to come back to NASCAR with this tropical storm brewing there towards the East Coast, with some pop-up showers, of course, during these nearing summer months. I mean, you could kind of consider May a summer month, especially in a southern state like North Carolina. So, yeah, it's just tough. Can't do anything about it. You just got to move on and hope for the best. And luckily, they were able to get not only the race back going again, but to get the entirety of the race in, unlike last Wednesday where they had to end it about 20 laps short. So they got the entirety of this one in. And when we got back from the rain delay, it was a pretty quiet finish to the first stage for the most part. Joey Logano kept the track position, pretty much dominated stage 1. If that car had the clean air out in front without a car that was real contesting for the win behind him, Logano was going to be able to keep it there. So Joey Logano wins stage 1, and then on to stage 2 we went, and the roles were reversed. He lost the track position up at the front of the field. He was still running about top 10 pretty much the entire race. He had a top 10 car, but if he didn't have that clean air, he didn't look nearly as fast. Bowman had the clean air in stage 2, pretty much dominated. Cars that looked pretty much, I should say, cars that looked better than Bowman that couldn't quite get to the lead, whether they didn't have enough time from where they started the stage, or how that might have ended up necessarily ensuing. It was probably the guys that you saw near the front towards the end of the race: Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney. So Bowman ends up going on to win stage 2, as I predicted there. It was a pretty good win in the States for Alex Bowman, because what ended up happening to him in the third stage, it's a good thing he got 16 well, he got 1 playoff point with 16 stage points in the race tonight. So we get on to stage 3. It was a whole different animal. We had, by the time we went green, 89 laps to go to decide the winner of the race. Kevin Harvick had the track position and probably had the best short run car all day long. At the time, we did not know it was a short run car. We just thought it was a fast car in general. So we got about halfway through that final run of the race, which ended up being about 60 laps. They're right on the edge of the pit window. They went green with about 59 to go, but everybody seemed like they ended up making it to the end anyway. So that ended up not being a factor after all. But Kevin Harvick was leading, just less than 30 laps to go. Chase Elliott gets around him, but boy, that car was not handling right. The speed definitely got taken out of it randomly, and the car just fell off the face of the earth. He went from 1st to 10th in the final, just less than 30 laps of the race. And as Mike Joy stated, I've never seen a car looking that good, that strong throughout the entire race, fall in the final run as bad as Kevin Harvick's car did. And I mean, again, that's just racing. And then in the post-race interview, he said that he had a short-run car, and they knew that it wasn't going to be great for the longer run. They wanted to try something different. It worked out most of the night. They were getting stage points. They were looking fast all night. It just so happened to be that the final 60 laps went green versus the rest of the race. Kind of not a wreck fest, but there were cautions periodically that they didn't really get a super long run like they did at the end of the race. So that definitely hurt Kevin Harvick's finish, but he still did get a top 10, which means that he keeps that top 10 streak alive to start the season. You don't want to do it with a 10th place finish when you're leading most of the laps in the race, which he did, but that's a tough break. My pick, Chase Elliott, though, once he took the lead, there was no looking back. There was a slight moment where it looked like Blaney might have been able to run it down. It looked like he got a little loose behind a lap car with about 13, 14 to go. Blaney cut the lead back down to about a second again, and I was, just not shouting on the end of my seat because it was late at night. My parents were, passed out on the couch. but they, he was running him down. And I thought he might have had a chance. I was getting my hopes up again. But Blaney had a solid day as well. He was consistently in the top 5 all day. Once he got up there, of course, he was another one of those drivers that started mid-pack along with Chase Elliott. And it was a pretty good run. And it's good to see 2 bright young stars in the sport today running that well in a primetime race. Whether it's middle of the week or not, it's a primetime race. This, with NASCAR being one of the few major sports in America back in action, it's going to get a lot of eyeballs, especially that Chase Elliott ended up getting the win here tonight come race end. So now let's take a look at your results to see exactly where everybody stacked up. But my prediction was right again, Chase Elliott for the win. In the comment section down below, I'm going to post my race record, I guess, this year for my preseason predictions and my actual week-by-week predictions, see how I'm faring so far, because after tonight's race, we are 8 races into the season, so we're a quarter of the way done already. It's crazy. No, we're a quarter of the way done after Bristol on Sunday, but still, we went so long without racing. Now it feels like, man, it's just flying by. We've had 4 races already in the last 2 weeks, and we're going to have another one on Sunday, 3 days from now, so that'll be fun to watch at Bristol. But of course, again, let's get to the results of the race here today. All right, so let's take a look at our running order for this race here tonight. Again, Chase Elliott got the win. Denny Hamlin snuck into second place right at the end there on Ryan Blaney. He was consistently moving forward throughout the course of the race. Pretty quiet day, but for him to finish second, obviously good for Denny. Blaney had a fast car all day long, got a lot of stage points today too. In fact, he was the highest points getter in this race today, scoring 52 points. Back-to-back top 3 finishes, so good for him. Ricky Stenhouse with that surprising 4th place finish. I don't think anybody saw that coming, including myself. And from about mid-pack too, starting position in 24th. That JTG Doherty racing team just performed really well. You could tell Stenhouse was aggressive as usual, but it paid off for him big time here today with that 4th place finish. Kurt Busch ended up getting a top 5, a lot better of a run than what he had in the Coke 600 overall. And a pretty good run for him also. Joey Logano 6th, and Brad Keselowski 7th there for those other 2 Penske drivers. So all 3 Penske drivers had finished inside the top 7. Austin Dillon 8th. He was consistently right around 8th to 10th all race, so his finish was deserving there as well. Martin Truex Jr. 9th, and Kevin Harvick rounds out the top 10. Harvick is the only driver to still finish in the top 10 every single race this season, keeping that streak alive barely. Although it looked like he had a car that could win, but again, because he was better on the short run, the long run there, the 60-lap finish to the race just did not work out for Kevin Harvick at all. It's amazing how he went from fastest car on the track to just less than 30 to go, falling all the way back to 10th with that long of a run to the end of the race. And then the only drivers to DNF in this race was Bubba Wallace, Brendan Poole, Joey Gase, and Garrett Smithley. Poor Bubba Wallace, 2 races in a row in which it seemed like he had some sort of an issue with the hub or a brake issue of some sort. That seemed like that's why he hit the wall and ended up not being able to get back out onto the racetrack. And then Joey Gase scared Smithley again. That accident back on lap 1. Brendan Poole also got in an accident a little bit later also. And that is going to be it for the finishing results. So let's head on over and see how the fantasy team did. Alright, so let's take a look at how the fantasy team did here tonight. Not too bad. It was mediocre. We had a couple guys obviously up towards the front at the finish. Bonus points helped us out big time here tonight. Chase Elliott wins the race. We had him on the team here today. He was my prediction to win the race as well. So that paid out big time for me here, and money-wise for that matter, because I placed a nice little bet on him. But regardless of that, Chase Elliott got the win. Good for him. I kind of figured he'd have a good day going for him, and we had him on the team because of that. We had the other 3 Hendrick drivers on the team as well. Jimmy Johnson ended up driving through the field a little bit later. Didn't get the top 10 like I had originally hoped and or thought he could have done, but he was right there just outside looking in at the finish of the race. William Byron, Tyler Reddick were right around him as well, and William Byron finished outside the top 30 today, but he had a ton of stage points, including a stage 2 victory, so that helped him out there. So it was an alright day for scoring here. Tough to say if we're going to actually move forward or backwards from that 14,000 tier ranking right now. It'll be tough. We'll find out here in a couple days, I guess. And Kyle Busch, again, because of his early troubles, luckily it was back in stage 2, so I was able to put him to the garage. William Byron had to go back to the rear, but again, he was able to drive himself into the top 15 as well. So, not great, but not bad at the same time. Better than the Coke 600, assuming everybody passes post-race inspection today, because Jimmy Johnson... Honestly, the Coke 600 would have been better if Johnson could have gotten his stage points and his second place finishing points, but because I only got 1 point for him because he failed inspection, that definitely hurt us that night. Hopefully things can go better here, but yeah, that's pretty much it. And then again, we scored a lot of bonus points, 30 bonus points in fact, because we took Bowman to win both the stages. He won stage 2 at least. Chase Elliott won the race, and obviously that means Chevy got the win, so good for us all the way around. That's going to be it here for this post-race analysis video on the Alsco Uniforms 500 at Charlotte Motor Speedway for that second Charlotte race of the year. We'll be back for another predictions video on Sunday morning, likely, for the Food City 500. That should be a good one, of course, there. Bristol always puts on great shows, so for more daily NASCAR content, hit the subscribe button down below and hit that bell notification button so you guys don't miss an upload, and hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video. What were your thoughts on the race? Did you enjoy it? I know I certainly did, and I'll see you guys in the next time. Thanks.